All right, all right, all right. Good morning. Thank you for being seated. Let us all stay nice and dry for the next little bit. I'd like to begin with just a few words of welcome and thanks. Welcome, distant relatives and friends from a distance. The greater the distance, the warmer the welcome and the thanks. Welcome, alumni and trustees. Thank you for keeping this place close to heart and for helping us to join our past to our future. Thank you to all who have set up and parked and organized and nourished us. You make us feel warm and welcome every day, and especially on a special day like this. Parents, thank you for caring so deeply about your children's education. Thank you for all you have done to raise them and strengthen them. Thank you for entrusting your children with us so we can do the job that we love most. Faculty, thank you for standing with such strength and passion behind all that we do. As we face this occasion, we do so with clarity and conviction about the singular importance of each graduate of the class of 2016. This day is for you. I heard recently that Brian Feigenbaum was the graduation speaker once. This is a fascinating concept. For those of you who do not know, Brian is our dance teacher and resident fill in the blank, and there is literally a blank on my page because I do not know how to describe Brian. One of my favorite Lawrence Academy moments is when Brian introduces a dance concert and releases his stream of consciousness on an unsuspecting audience. As a witness, you get this simultaneous impression that Brian knows exactly what he wants to say, and he has absolutely no idea what he is going to say. Before the last dance concert, Brian delivered a characteristic soliloquy. He was talking, as usual, about why dance exists, which also is, of course, why people exist, same thing. And he started to bring up conflict. He actually talked about war. It was an unexpected angle, even for Brian. He may have referenced Spartan warriors along with Martha Graham and something about absorbing and transforming violence, and then his eyes sort of rolled back in his head and he went into a trance into another dimension. And then a dance concert happened, typical event at Lawrence Academy. A couple days later, I was in a car listening to National Public Radio. Fortunately, NPR has a funny way of making sense of Brian. They kind of complement each other. There's a piece on the writer Sebastian Junger. Maybe some of you have read his books. He recently published a book called Tribe on homecoming and belonging. Junger has also written extensively about people in extreme situations, from the book, which then became a movie, The Perfect Storm, to a book simply called War, to a book called Fire, all explorations of dangerous circumstances. Tribe focuses on how people sometimes come together and sometimes fall apart in transitioning in and out of intense deployments. The occasion for the broadcast earlier this week was Memorial Day, thinking about soldiers and their return home. On the radio, Junger talked about a time in his life that is directly relevant to you graduates, the time right after graduating, in his case from college. After having spent most of his time in the protected habitat of the New England suburban environment, he decided to go out on his own, hitchhiking across the country. Reflecting on his need to explore a bigger, more complex world, Junger wrote, "Nothing ever happened in my town that required anything close to a collective effort." He grew up in Belmont. I didn't mean that as a cut on Belmont, great town. What I wanted wasn't destruction and mayhem, but the opposite, solidarity. I wanted the chance to prove my worth to my community and my peers, but I lived in a time and a place where nothing dangerous ever really happened. Humans don't mind hardship. In fact, they thrive on it. What they mind most is not feeling necessary. Modern society has perfected the art of making people feel not necessary. So as I listened, I started to imagine that I understood what Brian was getting at. A big part of the human experience does involve struggle. It involves resistance and action and a sense of gathering conflict, for sure. But the condition that makes us human is the capacity to confront and transcend these conflicts collectively. If artfully accomplished, what arises might be beauty. What we might accomplish is solidarity. What we experience is the feeling of being very, very necessary. Well, anyway, I'm not sure that is exactly what Brian meant, but that is what I see and feel every time I see our students perform. Transformation, an amazing recognition of self and other, a beautiful exercise of mutual responsibilities, creating something real and meaningful out of the complicated forces of life. I will reinforce this point and close this short opening in the most predictable way possible. Back in 1986, the college Sebastian Junger graduated from was Wesleyan University. Do you know who else graduated from Wesleyan University? That's right, Lin-Manuel Miranda graduated from Wesleyan University. And do you know what play Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote? In the Heights, that's right. He wrote the play In the Heights, an excellent play. And he also wrote Hamilton. So I just received one of the saddest emails I think I've ever received. It was last night, and it informed me that this is true. It's on like Billboard or Broadway or whatever. Lin-Manuel is stepping down from Hamilton in July. He's leaving the show, and that means I'm going to have to set aside my obsessive-compulsive disorder as well as soon as I get some professional treatment. But one last time, or as he would sing, one last time, I have some final spoken words for you, not sung, spoken. They're meant to inspire you. They're from the character of Alexander Hamilton, the founding father without a father. His words conjure revolution and history and struggle and triumph, but also speak right to the present moment and to the future. That's why they're so powerful. In other words, something like what Brian was maybe talking about. I could start anywhere, let's start here. We have to make this moment last, and that's plenty. Scratch that. This is not a moment, it's a movement. Where'd all the hungriest brothers with something to prove, men? Foes oppose us, we take an honest stand. We roll like Moses, claiming our promised land. And if we win our independence, is that a guarantee of freedom for our descendants? Or will the blood we shed begin an endless cycle of vengeance and death without defendants? I know the action in the street is exciting, but Jesus, between all the bleeding and fighting, I've been reading and writing. We gotta handle our financial situation. Are we a nation of states? What's the state of our nation? I'm past patiently waiting. I'm passionately smashing every expectation, every act of creation. I'm laughing in the face of casualties and sorrow. For the first time, I'm thinking past tomorrow. And I am... That's it. I quit. But it felt good. Seniors, you are heading in the direction of college and in life. You will happen to arrive at your next deployment during an election season, a big moment in a country's history. You will emerge some years later into a world that, as always, will desperately need artful transformation. I hope you have learned here at Lawrence Academy that solidarity is possible, that the transformed world can be a truly beautiful place for you and for others, that every action is an act of creation. Class of 2016, you are necessary. Do not throw away your shot. Thank you. It is a great pleasure to introduce the senior class president, Josh Garber, who will introduce our graduation speaker today. Josh.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Josh Garber, and I am honored to stand before you today with the privilege to introduce our guest graduation speaker. When the idea came up to ask Jackie McMullen to speak on graduation day, there was immediate and resounding encouragement. I personally thought there was a slim chance we would get a persona as recognizable as Jackie to come and speak for us. But here we are, so lucky and excited to have you today. Growing up in a household that loved New England sports, I of course knew who Jackie McMullen was. But not everyone is a sports enthusiast, so allow me to fill you in. You'll have to excuse me, but I must leave out some of her accomplishments because there are just so many of them. Jackie McMullen is a television analyst for ESPN and a senior writer for ESPN.com. She also does basketball commentary for Comcast Sportsnet. From 2002 into 2007, she was a columnist and associate editor of the Boston Globe. From 1995 to 2000, she was a senior writer for Sports Illustrated, covering the National Basketball Association. She is a cum laude graduate of the University of New Hampshire, where she played for 4 years basketball. She was the recipient of both the Robert Perry Student Athlete of the Year Award and the Dean Williamson Award, and she was inducted into the University of New Hampshire's Hall of Honor in 2001. In August of 2010, she was recognized by the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame with the Kurt Gowdy Award for a career of excellence in basketball writing and reporting. She is the first and only woman selected in the history of the award. Her book, Shaq Uncut, was released in November of 2011 and was her second New York Times bestseller. She has won several national writing awards from the Associated Press sports editors, including first place for investigative reporting. In addition to her duties at ESPN, which include weekly appearances on Around the Horn, where she has been the only female panelist for the first 12 years of its inception, and occasional appearances as a panelist on The Sports Reporters, where she also was the first ever female on the show. McMullen is also a regular contributor to WHDH-TV, Channel 7, and the WEEI radio. Jackie McMullen broke barriers in the media that had been around for decades, proving the doubters and naysayers that said women had no place in men's sports journalism wrong. Her incredible insight on the game of basketball and her unwavering passion made it impossible for her to be ignored. She has led the way for the expansion and inclusion of women in the field of sports. I grew up watching her make fools of older expert male analysis on national television, and I always cheered her on because I'd always loved the fact she represented Boston and knew so much about the teams that I adored. The one woman on the show, from Boston, kicking butt, created this sense of pride in me. Yet, that's what she is for all of New England, a source of great pride for all that she has accomplished. Looking beyond her remarkable success story that has changed the media, I have to address the fact that she is an extraordinary humanitarian. For many years, she has been heavily involved in charitable work for Huntington's disease and was honored in the fall of 2007 by its New England chapter for her tireless efforts on behalf of the organization. Tewksbury Hospital also recognized McMullen in 2004. The MIAA and the New England Patriots awarded her its prestigious Ron Burton Senior Community Service Award in 2009 for her charitable endeavors, which also include efforts on behalf of the Dorchester Boys and Girls Club, the New England Hemophilia Association, and the Shooting Touch Foundation as well. A true inspiration for anybody with this passion, I am honored to introduce Jackie McMullen.
Thank you, Josh. I just told him that's one of the best introductions I've ever had. I was nodding off. Thank you so much, all of you, for having me here today. Welcome to the class of 2016. Thank you very much for letting me share this great day with you. Was it a great year? Yes. Great year? I hope so. You know, I had a pretty good year myself. I went to see David Ortiz at Fenway Park, and he donated one of his signature bats for one of my charities. I made the trip to Denver for the AFC Championship game and commiserated with Gronk after they lost. I hung out with Kobe Bryant at the Four Seasons Hotel, his final trip to Boston to play the Celtics. I talked to Carly Lloyd. We decided we might do a book together. I got invited to dinner at A-Rod's house in Miami. Do not worry, I did not go. I took a picture with Bill Russell, and I did that because he told me to, and I'll do anything he wants. Come up and see me afterwards. I do have it in my phone. I have a great job. I have a job that most of you would probably kill for. But please don't do that. I come in peace. I've been to 48 out of the 50 states thanks to my job. I still haven't gotten to Nebraska or North Dakota. I've been to 7 countries and 4 continents. And my job is one that every single one of you graduates can do. I'm sure of it. It's the only job I ever wanted, and I knew that from the first time I was in the 5th grade, and Mr. Pender took us on a field trip to the Honeywell computer plant. Now, back then, computers were bigger than refrigerators. Ask your parents. They remember this. They were huge. You could barely fit them in a room. And I was just absolutely mesmerized. And on the bus ride back, Mr. Pender said to me, you know, you should write about this. I said, okay. And so I did. And somehow, Mr. Pender convinced the Westwood Press to put it on the very last page of the paper. Well, I was hooked. I loved the smell of ink. I still do. And I guess I was a little vain because I really liked seeing my name, spelled wrong, unfortunately, in that newspaper. So I know what you're thinking. This is where I launch into my plucky, obnoxious go-getter who takes on the world and is everybody's darling, except for that really wasn't me. I had tons of hopes and dreams, but I was afraid to do any of them. Every time I read the local sports paper, I'd get really mad because all they ever wrote about was the boys. So I'd stomp around the house and I'd flail my arms and complain about the unfairness of it. And finally, one day my dad said to me, why don't you do something about it? Why don't you call the paper and ask them why they don't write about the girls? And I said, well, sure, I'm going to do that later. I'll do that later. And my dad said, no, you're going to do it now. I'm really tired of listening to you. So with my dad standing over me, I called up the local paper and, of course, lost all my nerve and said, geez, I was just sort of wondering why you don't write about the girls. And the editor, Frank Wall, said to me, I don't have anybody do it. You want to do it? I said, I'm in the 7th grade. He said, if it stinks, I won't print it. Do you know how long I stayed up to make sure it didn't stink? A long time. So now suddenly I'm writing about sports. I can't even believe it. And sometimes, if you can believe this, I'm writing about myself because I got to high school and I made the field hockey team. So that was pretty cool. Except for I almost didn't try out for the team because I was afraid. The mere thought of showing up at that field just put this pit in my stomach. So my next door neighbor and my best friend, Maria, asked me when the tryouts were. Now, Maria was a flautist. She was not an athlete. For those of you, you all know, you're very smart. She played the flute. She was a flautist. She was not an athlete. She said she'd go with me to these tryouts. She was 4'11", and she could barely walk in a straight line without tripping. But God bless her. She went to those tryouts with me because she knew I'd never go alone. The very first day, Maria got cut, and I made the team. Now, my true love, of course, was a game of basketball. Oh, I loved it so much. I couldn't stop thinking about it. But at the time, my high school, Westwood High School, had a winning streak that, believe it or not, was actually in the Guinness World Book of Records. Now, this was a tryout that Maria was not coming to with me. I was going to have to go by myself. So I laced up my Chuck Taylors, because you know what? We actually wore those to play basketball back when I was young, okay? I laced them up, and I peeked into the gym where everybody was lining up for the tryouts, and I chickened out. I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. Next year, I told myself, I'll go next year. But then next year came, and I couldn't do it then either. So now I'm a junior in high school, and it's too late. It's too late. I've missed it. The game I love so much, and I don't have enough courage to play. So I run into the coach one day. Her name is Kathy Delaney Smith. She's now going to be a Hall of Famer. She's the coach at Harvard now, but she was my high school coach. How lucky was I? And she stopped me in the hallway, and she said, "Oh, I was down at the junior high school today. I saw your sister Susie. She's going to be a great player." She said, "At least I'll get one McMullen to play for me." So I said, "Oh, well, I'll try out." And the look of horror on her face, I will never forget it. And I said, "Oh, you're right. It's too late. I'm too old. Gosh, I'm sorry. Never mind. Forget I said that." And she said, "Wait a minute. You wanted to play? All this time you wanted to play?" She said, "Oh, my goodness. Be here tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. We have a lot of work to do." So thanks to Kathy Delaney Smith, I made the team, the junior varsity, the only junior on junior varsity. I was okay with that. I didn't know what I was doing. But by the end of the year, because you know what? Once I got on that team, I never stopped, never stopped. By the end of the year, I got moved up for the tournament. I got to play. It was so exciting. And my senior year, I was on the floor at the very end of the game in the state championship, missing the very last shot of the game. But that's okay. You know why? Because I was part of a team. And it felt fantastic, just fantastic. And all of you here, every one of you knows that feeling, don't you? Every one of them, whether you're on the football team or the soccer team or theater or dance, you know what it feels like to belong. And can I just tell you one thing? Hold on to that feeling in case this is the last time you ever have it, because it's the greatest. It's carried me all the way through my life. So anyway, I'm part of that team. Now, meanwhile, my high school journalism career, it's going pretty well, I got to tell you. It's going pretty well. In fact, my boss said to me, "How about if you write a weekly sports column?" And I was pumped. I'm like, "That's great," except for I was terrified. So I convinced my friend Janice to do it with me. Now, by this time, I'm reading about 4 or 5 newspapers a day. My dad was a salesman, so he would bring them to me from all over the country. So I wanted to sound professional if I was going to write this sports column. So I started calling everybody by their last name in the stories, because I knew that's what all the real journalists did. Now, meanwhile, Janice, my friend, she could care less about being a journalist. She just loved everyone and everything. So as you can imagine, our sports columns that we were doing together, they were a little uneven, right? So here's how I would do it. I would start out with, "The Lawrence Academy hockey team eked out a 2-1 win yesterday thanks to a goal from Hannah Gelfi." Are you here, Hannah? Come on, Hannah, stand up. I mentioned you. You might as well stand up. There we go. So then my friend Janice would kick in, and she'd write something like, "The game was awesome!" Exclamation point. "The fans had great cheers!" Exclamation point. "That Brittany Colton played so well, she's a doll." Where are you, Brittany? Stand up. You might as well. Come on, Brittany. "Everyone shared the ball and the win happened!" Exclamation point. So needless to say, I did not include those columns in my college applications. But anyway, I went to the University of New Hampshire, and I wasn't a walk-on there. I was a crawl-on. But my coach, Kathy Delaney Smith, had already called ahead. She told him I was coming. I had to try out. I couldn't bag it. She was expecting me to try out, so I did, and I made the team. I still don't really know how. I made the team, and by my sophomore year, I was actually a starter, and I even got a little bit of scholarship money. And it was there, on that team again, that great feeling of being part of a team, I made some of my lifelong friends. One of them who's here today, Denise Higgins, whose daughter, Gabby Reuter, graduates with you today. Stand up, Gabby. You didn't think you were going to get off this season. All right. But as Gabby's mom can tell you, I was never going to be a professional basketball player. You simply can't be in that one shooting left-handed the way I did with the one-handed. Oh, it was horrible. But anyway, I wasn't going to be a professional basketball player, but I wanted to be a professional journalist. And I told everybody who listened that that's what I was going to do. When I get out of here, I'm going to work for the Boston Globe. Except for one of my older, wiser teammates finally said one day, "You know, you talk an awful lot about that, but you really don't do anything about it." And she was right. Because, once again, I was afraid. I was afraid to walk down to the student activities office and join the school newspaper. But I was so lucky because my professor, Don Murray, who was a 2-time Pulitzer Prize winner, understood. In fact, he told me he had the same problem when he was my age. So you know what he did? He said, "Come on, we'll walk down to the school paper together." And then when we got to the door, he said, "I'm out. Now get in there." My guess is that each one of you have someone in your life that's believed in you even more than you believed in yourself. And I'm not talking about your parents, I'm talking about somebody else. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do, if I can. Next week, when all the hoopla dies down about this great graduation, whoever that person is in your life, sit down and write them a little note, just to thank them. I'm not talking texting here, people. I'm not talking Snapchatting. Sit down and write a note, okay? And you know what? I bet you're going to like it as much as a person you write that letter to. I was very, very fortunate to have so many caring people looking out for me. When I got out of UNH, I did work right at the Boston Globe my first year out of college. And when I got there, all sorts of crazy things happened to me. Most nights, I was the only woman in the building, the only woman covering the game. Some people were glad I was there, but quite honestly, many others were not. I was in a New York Giants locker room once when Lawrence Taylor threw a hairdryer at me. Lawrence Taylor is a super big dude. Thankfully, he has lousy aim. Okay. I had a priest who was only up to my waist stand in front of the St. John's locker room with his arms folded, forbidding me to go in and do my job, and he stood there until my deadline passed. I had Red Auerbach, the patriot of the Boston Celtics, who in later years was one of my most ardent supporters, take his cigar and blow that smoke right into my face when he found out I went into his locker room. You know, in those early years, my life was kind of stressful. I wasn't trying to break down barriers. I was just trying to get through the day, honestly. I was just trying to do my job. And being afraid, you know what? It really wasn't going to do me any good, because that was only going to be a sign of weakness to those who wanted me to fail. So when I cried, and I did it alone in my car where nobody could see me. And then, when I got back to work, I started trying to build my credibility one story at a time. So along the way, I saw the Red Sox win the World Series. I saw the Bruins win the Stanley Cup. I saw the Celtics raise banner 17, and I saw the Patriots become a football dynasty. I won $10 off Isaiah Thomas because he didn't think I could hit a turnaround jump shot. And I'm not talking about little Isaiah Thomas from the Celtics. I'm talking about the one from the Pistons. I swam in Shaq's pool with another Lawrence Academy alum, Nicky Lynch. He swam in, there he is, back there, Nicky. There he is, here today. He's in the house. I swam in Shaq's pool, and I posed with his stuffed polar bear. I shot baskets with Maya Moore. I flew a kite in Larry Bird's backyard. I tied the shoes of Tom Brady's son. That's what I said. And I humiliated my poor children by doing the flick of the wrist on national television. I got to work at Sports Illustrated, and then I got to work at ESPN. So now I'm on television, I'm on the radio, I write for the website, and truthfully, I'm probably a little overexposed. But you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I'm not afraid of anything anymore. All right, well, thank you. Maybe one little thing when I write bad things about Bill Belichick and he starts coming at me. That's a little scary. So you're about to take the next step, all of you, to college, to work, maybe some of you, and it's scary. And you're probably afraid, and I get it. I totally get it. But if I could tell you one thing, it's this. Don't be the kid peeking in the door. Be the kid that walks through the door. When I was young, I used to see all these adults who seemed so confident and so brave, and I thought, well, you know what? They were born that way. No, they weren't. The most successful people in the world were all kids like you once. They were high school graduates who were dealing with the anxiety and the uncertainty and the excitement of what's ahead. Our presidents, our CEOs, our professional athletes, our top scholars, Mr. Miranda, probably too, I'm gonna guess, and our sports journalists, we were all the same. We had no idea what was next. But if you are too afraid to find out, you'll never know. Congratulations. Enjoy this wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Jackie McMullen. That was wonderful. So, as we give prizes on graduation day, you can certainly follow along in the program. And something else that I would draw attention to are the other prizes that were given during our cum laude ceremonies, as well as those graduates of the class who have earned distinction as cum laude. I guess I'd also draw attention to the fact that every single graduation prize is going to be this darn Hamilton book, which you can sell on eBay. You'll probably get some good money for it. The Margaret Price White Award, given by Robert F. White, class of 1940, in honor and memory of his wife, Margaret Price White. The award is presented to a member of the sophomore class whose motivation, work ethic, and attitude toward all areas of school life have quietly and unassumingly earned the respect of the faculty. Gavin Slattery. The Thomas B. Warner Memorial Prize, established in September 1979 by the Warner family and friends in memory of Thomas B. Warner, Lawrence Academy alumnus, class of 1975, to be awarded annually to that incoming senior, aka junior, who has demonstrated a remarkable determination to achieve to his or her fullest potential in the classroom, on the field, and in the extracurricular activities of the school. Subin Kim. The Carl A. P. Lawrence Award, established by Mrs. Lucy W. Lawrence in memory of her husband Carl, alumnus of the class of 1910, trustee from 1954 until his death in 1972, and lifelong benefactor of Lawrence Academy. Awarded annually to that member of the junior class whose achievements in all areas of school life demonstrate competence, loyalty, and concern for others, qualities that earn Mr. Lawrence respect of all who knew him. Taylor Goodman Leong. The Harvard Book Prize, awarded to that member of the junior class who combines excellence in scholarship and high character with achievement in other fields. This prize was established by Richard S. Aldrich, class of 25, in memory of his great-great-grandmother, who was in the opening class of 1794, and his mother, Mary Pickering Joy Aldrich, who was in the class of 1886. Harvard Book Prize goes to Tim Phan. The David Soren Yutter Memorial Award, awarded to a junior whose interest and activities demonstrate an appreciation of natural beauty and a love for Lawrence Academy, Greg Mitchell. The James E. Baker Prize, awarded by an alumnus of the school class of 1871 to a student in the junior class for the best all-around development in attitude and scholarship, Ben Munich. Not on your program, but a yearly discretionary prize is the Head of School Award. This year there are 3, and this will begin the awards for the senior class of 2016. The Head of School Award is presented to a member or 3 members of the senior class who during his or her time at Lawrence Academy brings a sense of inclusion, beauty, commitment, and deep community to the Lawrence Academy campus. Their talents, caring relationships, and spirited contributions to the full range of experience here at LA have filled our campus with vitality and character. Lindsay Perry, Emily Messer, and Andrew Fife. The Mary Elizabeth Chickering Prize, established by Mrs. Chickering's husband, George Chickering, class of 1930, and awarded to that day student whose academic accomplishments, wholesome school attitude, and general maturity deserve special recognition. Lucy Opalka. The Howard W. Glazer Class of 55 Award, established by the Glazer family in honor of Howard's 30th reunion, to be awarded to a student attending Lawrence for at least 2 years, whose enthusiasm and dedication to hard work have generated the most school spirit. Aiden Perry. The Melvin W. Mann Award, awarded to the Lawrence senior whose character and leadership ability have contributed most to fostering mutual respect between members of the school community. Dimitri Jackson. The Proctor Award, established by Gary Edlin, class of 1963, in memory of his father, Harvey Edlin, honors that student proctor who best demonstrates qualities of integrity, initiative, and responsibility. Ramatulai Sise. The Richmond Baker Prize donated in honor of Richmond Baker, and awarded by vote of the varsity coaches to the female athlete of the senior class who, through her dedication and determination on the athletic field, best demonstrates the qualities of a true leader, Emily Pratt. The Raymond A. Ilg Jr. Award, established by Mrs. Ilg and Ray's friends and classmates at Lawrence from the class of 1939, for that senior who has shown outstanding qualities of sportsmanship, leadership, and achievement in athletics, Liam O'Sullivan. The Norman and Catherine Grant Award. The Norman and Catherine Grant Award has been established to honor 40 years of dedicated service to Lawrence Academy by the two extraordinary people for whom it is named. The Grant Award is made annually to a graduating senior who has done the most on the playing field and in his or her association with teammates to further the spirit and ideals of athletics and good sportsmanship at the Academy. David Murphy. The Whitehurst Prize, given in memory of Reverend Raymond W. Whitehurst and funded in part by the class of 1984, to that member of the senior class who has evidenced exceptional growth toward maturity of conduct, opinion, and discourse, Ben Pertel. The David Thomas Kinsley Prize for Public Speaking, an alum of the school 1881 to 1882, and established by his daughter, Catherine Mary Kinsley, to be awarded to the senior who displays the most outstanding skills in class discussions and formal classroom presentations, Lisa Lee. Tom Park Class of 29 Memorial Award, established by the Buran family in June 1989 in memory of Tom Park, Class of 1929, an outstanding citizen of the town of Groton and active supporter of Lawrence Academy, awarded to that student athlete in the graduating class who has best demonstrated loyalty and dedication in his or her athletic pursuits and academic endeavors. Hannah Gelfie and Jack Harlan. The Adrian Chen Class of 92 Award is awarded to a senior at graduation whose native language is not English and who has achieved linguistic and cultural fluency while enriching the Lawrence Academy community by sharing his or her language and culture with others. Ang Drang. The Pillsbury Prize for Character and Conduct, established by the Honorable Albert E. Pillsbury, open to any member of the graduating class for character and conduct, Kobe Goodrich. The Pillsbury Prize for General Improvement in Scholarship and School Duties during the course, established by the Honorable Albert E. Pillsbury, open to any member of the graduating class, Alden Bishop. The Treisman Prize for Superior Scholastic Achievement, established by an alumnus, Robert S. Treisman, of the class of 1953, awarded to that senior who has attended the school for at least 2 years and has become the academic leader of the school, as demonstrated by his or her ability to think independently, creatively, and deeply, by his or her enthusiastic engagement in learning, and by the superior quality of his or her scholarship. Philippe Lessard. The Ferguson Prize for Leadership, awarded to that member of the senior class who has exhibited superior leadership abilities in the classroom, on the athletic fields, and in the community activities of the school. Presented by an alumnus of the class of 1971 in honor of 40 years of dedicated service to Lawrence Academy by Mr. and Mrs. Arthur Ferguson. Margaret Davey. The Benjamin Davis Williams Prize, established by the class of 1984 to honor Benjamin Davis Williams, headmaster of Lawrence Academy from 1969 to 1984, and awarded by vote of the faculty to that senior whose leadership qualities, innovative ideas, and varied interests in the numerous areas of Lawrence Academy life all make this a better place in which to live, to experience, and to learn. Josh Garber. And the Faculty Award, awarded by the faculty to that member of the school whose conduct and character have contributed much to making the Academy the type of school to which a parent would wish to send a son or daughter. Paige Beatty. It is a graduation tradition at Lawrence Academy that the senior class elects 2 representatives of the class, one young man and one young woman, to speak for the class on this occasion. And we are very fortunate to have 2 wonderful people to address you this morning. The first will be Shay McDonald.
Don't want to cry yet. Okay. So, good morning. Fun fact, this is, in fact, the biggest audience I've ever performed in front of. And for those of you who have never seen a play at Lawrence Academy, my name is Shay McDonald. And if you do know me from school, it's most likely because you have seen a play at Lawrence Academy. Or perhaps you know me as the girl who did the spoken word on how she doesn't want to get married and have kids. Or that girl in honors theater that decided to do a silent one act for no apparent reason, other than the fact that she needed to challenge herself. Or even the girl who won most likely to win an Olympic medal. Yeah, still confused about that one. Point is, I'm on stage a lot, and I would have thought that my entire class would be tired of hearing me talk. So, thanks for electing me, guys. Almost 4 years ago, I came to LA as a lost freshman, just like every single person here in this room was at one point in his or her life, or maybe they still are today. And just like any scared freshman, I just wanted to make friends. However, unlike most stories of freshman year, which are usually about triumph and finding your true friends, I actually did not become friends with one person in my grade. And you all know that's true. Actually, when I told my parents that I was elected graduation speaker, my mom laughed and said, "Wow, I wish I had a recording of you complaining about how you had no friends freshman year, so I could say, look at you now." Thanks, Mom. But to bring it back to that good old freshman year, On Monday, September 10th, 2012, 3:45 to 4:30, I auditioned for my first high school play, The Odyssey. I walked into a room full of bustling teenagers that were clearly all friends, except for one boy who clearly had no idea what was going on, and I very much pretended that I did know what was going on. But I want him to know that even though 3 years ago I never would have admitted this, I was just as scared as him that day. And after waiting anxiously in my parents' bed like a 5-year-old, I finally found out that I had been cast in my first high school production. Then, about three months later, all my dreams were crushed when I was cut from the musical. So, thanks to Joel Sugarman for teaching me that the best form of flattery is through criticism and rejection. Now, it might surprise many of you that The Odyssey was one of the first plays I had auditioned for in over 5 years. I had actually never planned to audition for a play ever again after middle school when I was informed that theater was lame. I know, I was really surprised too. Because before I received this shocking information, I thought singing Being Alive in the shower every night is what everyone did. And if you don't know what that is, congratulations, you're cool. But again, to my surprise, I was actually taken out of the school that told me it was lame to be passionate about theater. I had to get out of a place where I was told that it was not okay to love what I loved. People often ask me why I love performing, and I am quick to answer because I don't have to be myself. But the truth is, on stage, I am more myself in that moment than I am at any other time. Whether I'm playing a cranky old Jewish flower store owner, a lesbian trying to have a baby, or a paranoid sister picking up her drunk brother, that is who I am. A part of me is in every one of those characters. And I would not be able to confidently say that on stage if I hadn't gone to LA. Lawrence is not just a place I go to school for 8 hours, then come home. It is my home. I spend more time here than I do at home because I love it here. LA has given me the confidence to be exactly who I want to be, even when I didn't know who I was. No matter the long nights of schoolwork or endless tech rehearsals. Now, I do have to say, in the wise words of my friend James Finneral, try something new. But even farther, it is never too late to find yourself and who you are. And it is never too late to try something new, even now. LA gave us, the class of 2016, the option to try something new, and we never had to feel like outsiders. I'm still the girl that when you see watching a baseball game, you think, oh, what the heck is Shay doing here? Oh wait, she's just here to see Zach May play. And then you see Tallman Fortune and you think, yep, Zach May. Because why else would they be at a sporting event? Today is a different world than it was freshman year because of how we have all grown together. We can probably look around to at least one person and realize that maybe I would have never been friends with them if I hadn't taken that art class or gone to the Caribbean for Winthrop. Regardless of freshman year, today I can look around at a bunch of smiling faces about to graduate, and I can proudly and finally say, you are all my friends. And what a bunch of smart and passionate group of friends you are. A group of athletes, poets, and journalists, and scientists, and mathematicians. You all inspire me every day when I see you doing what you truly love to do. Now, I do want to leave you with a quote, because frankly, anyone could sum up what I am trying to say with a simple sentence. As Mr. Curran, my advisor, often tells me, Shay, you will never get a comment card telling you to talk more in class. So, yes, true. So I was going to leave you with a quote from my role model, Will Ferrell, but I think only a select few of you would appreciate the genius writing of Step Brothers, so Eleanor Roosevelt will have to do. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Thank you.
now, Ben Gainsborough.
I did not sign up for this. First off, I'd like to thank all of those that came out and supported this graduating class of 2016 on this beautiful Friday morning. Family, friends, and grandparents alike, we warmly welcome you into the Lawrence Academy community. I'm a firm believer in saving the best for last. That one scoop of ice cream with all the sprinkles on it, that YouTube video you're just a little more excited about than the others. Mr. Wasinski history after getting emotionally beat down in Mr. Cully's CSC class. So, when I was told I would be going second for the student speakers, alarms instantly sounded off in my head. On one end of the ring, you had Shay McDonald, a charismatic, smart, and unbelievably talented actor, and most importantly, person. On the other end, you had me, an awkward, frail, and utterly terrified, utterly terrified individual. It's like sending in the firefighting team before there's actually a fire. Just the fact that I am up here today is beyond comprehensible for me. The ballot for the potential speakers was downright stacked this year. You had Eddie Fish, a future fighting Illini football player who can put a smile on your face on even the worst of days. You had Andrew Fife, a brilliant dancer, artist, and one of the most mentally tough people you'll ever meet. Ben Purtell, an incredibly smart and hardworking scholar. Dave Murphy, soccer star and visually stunning athlete. Jack Harlan, a hard-throwing, Columbia-bound jack of all trades. Pun intended. Julian Travis, a literal genius who can only be a tad bit unnerving sometimes. James Finneral. But no. But no, we instead chose the guy that didn't even know he had vocal cords until 15 seconds ago. We chose the guy that has a built-in GPS, showing him the best way to avoid social situations. If it involves cutting across the quad and taking out baby barkers, so be it. He'll get back at me when he's triple my weight next Tuesday. So, after calling a hit on myself before calling back a few minutes later to call it off, I decided I would do something unorthodox, something different. I first thought about maybe tearing up my speech before I began. But then I realized I would just bring a backup copy, so. What could I do that would be so weird, possibly disturbing, and most likely inappropriate? Well, talk about my high school experience, of course. Coming from Fenn, a middle school in Concord, Massachusetts, I was pretty much without an identity. At the school, I pretty much spent all 5 of my years trying to make other people happy and fit in. And at Fenn, that wasn't too difficult. Middle schoolers, unlike high schoolers, are much more accepting of change. As long as you could throw a football further than 10 yards and played video games, you were pretty much fit in. But although this was an extremely effective strategy for those 5 years, I quickly learned that high school was a whole different game when I started back in 2013. Sure, there were still people that would ooh and ah over video games and short slant routes, but the vast majority of my classmates were more complex than that. They knew the types of friends that they wanted to make, the type of impression they wanted to make on other people, and the way they wanted to attack this dangerous game of high school. I didn't, at all. I was a deer in the headlights, looking up at the trees and boulders while desperately searching for any sort of shelter I could find. The most telling moment of my freshman career had to be one of my first days in Mrs. Quist NGP Science. Yeah. We had just been given partners for a large experiment of some kind, and I was paired with a female that I will keep nameless. Coming from Fenn, an all-boys school, I believed females were some sort of alien species, one I couldn't and probably never would be able to communicate with. And although I still stick by the latter half of that statement, they probably aren't aliens. But when we were paired together, it looked like she wanted to live among the aliens. A look laced with anger, sadness, depression, remorse, and I think I saw a little longing too. Not a longing for me, but a longing for a meteor to fly through the window and hit either her, myself, or both of us simultaneously. Talking didn't make it much better either. As I tried to revert to my Fenn ways, stupid jokes, uncomfortable laughing. But was returned with a big, "You," by both her body and eyes. There were really two things I could have done after this unfortunate encounter. I could rebound and look to improve, or curl back up in my ball and roll over to the Forum, a small group of mine that enjoyed our virgin pink lemonade. And like any weakling would, I went with the latter option. And it was the best decision of my life. The bond I created with my small group of friends is something that not even my sometimes edgy jokes or Jeff Page's professional putting game could possibly break. The connection that we have formed is something that I hope we carry on for the rest of my time on this earth, and I hope they wish that too. But although this strategy worked out for me, it absolutely 100% would not work out for everyone else. The way we saddle up and take on challenges will not and should never be universally recognized as right. It's a feeling you'll have in your gut. Some choose to surround themselves with as many people as possible. Others take it with a partner. Some of the true rebels try and take it alone. What we can't do is say that how someone goes about it is the wrong way. Sure, the art wing can be a little intimidating at first, but have you ever actually tried to talk to Jory Van Nest or any of the other people down there? They are some of the nicest people on campus. I'll share one more story before I say my final goodbye to LA. A creepy guy in a barbershop once told me to always touch the things you like. Yeah. Yeah. It's true. And although this could certainly be interpreted in many different ways, the thing that I took away from it after getting the hell out of there was that if you truly enjoy someone's company and want to show them that you care, make a physical or emotional connection with them. It could be a hug, a fist bump, a handshake, sure, but it could also be something as simple as saying, "I enjoyed our time together," or something along those lines. I'm not one for emotional goodbyes or just emotions in general. But I would like to truly say, from the bottom of my heart, that Lawrence Academy is a really special place filled with extremely special people. And although I or none of you in the crowd today will ever please every single person you talk to, make sure to always have a plan as you move through high school, college, and life in general. And to the guy in the back, just trying to avoid the limelight, the quicker you come to terms with yourself, the quicker that people around you will accept you. I'm talking from experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Shay and Ben. We will now start awarding diplomas. I would invite the first 5 alphabetical representatives of the senior class up. While they come up, I'd like to recognize and thank Rob Moore, Susan Hughes, and Bruce McNeil, the chair of the Lawrence Academy Board of Trustees, for their assistance in passing out these diplomas. I also want to put out one note for those of you for whom this may be your first Lawrence graduation. It is also a tradition that for the faculty or staff members who may have students graduating, or for trustees, or in one case for newly elected trustees, those people will actually be giving the diplomas to those students. And there are 8 such occasions to punctuate the ceremony today. William Frederick Ady II. Marissa Lee Anderson. I'm going to get a lot of Snickers, and I'm going to eat them all. Daria Absembetova. Paige Godfrey Beatty. Alden Barrett Bishop. Elise Kelly Bojanowski. Abigail Megan Bostick. Amalia Sawyer Brandvold. Alexander Maximilian Reiling Breiter. Evan Matthew Bromander. Jake Anthony Cassidy. Erica Mary Christensen. Emma Kathleen Collins. Brittany Lynn Colton. Maya Jane Kratsley. Margaret Stett Davy. Michaela Lindsay Dempsey. Catherine Hansen DeCara. Alexis Rose Dinkle. Alexander Michael DiPietro. Caroline Chella Donovan. Hannah Grace Donovan. Taylor Lauren Drago. Emily Marta Duffy Denzer. James Clancy Duffy. Dylan Jude Eskel. Joja Lucy Fan. James Christopher Finneral. Edward Anthony Fish III. Brian Patrick Flanagan. Kyla Alexi Leilani Milan Desarin Floresca. William Tallman Fortune. Timothy Evan Foster. Andrew Lewis Fife. Benjamin Andrew Gainsborough. Joshua Drew Garber. Ian Harris Gellerman. Hannah Lynn Gelfie. Kobe Martin Goodrich. Emma Shea Grant. Thomas Philip Gross. Andrew Paul Hahn. Sophia Grace Hager. Jonathan Kemp Harlan. Emma Lucia Horn. Carter Philip Hussey. Kayla Elizabeth Hussey. Dimitri James Jackson. Street Jacobs. Anna Paley Jewell. Margaret Clements Kelly. Derek Kevin Kolodziejski. Ji Min Kong. Lai Hai Lu. Philippe Schultes Lessard. Brittany Rose Lavasser. Lee Jiashung. I got plenty. Shahan Lisa Lee. Jenny Lin. Catherine Johnson Lotane. Shay Jennifer McDonald. Melissa Rose Menard. Ana Carolina Mendoza. Emily Mary Messer. Jordan Daisy Monbouquet. David Edward Murphy. Sarah Babcock Murphy. Luke Joseph McGuire Newman. Jessica Swanson Neiman. Riley Keenan Knoll. Taryn Marie O'Neill. Liam Matthew O'Sullivan. Madison Mary Olson. Lucy Eleanor Opalka. Jeffrey Robert Page. Lindsay Margaret Perry. Renee Amarante Perkins. Aiden Thor Perry. Emily Elizabeth Pizzicrita. Wirianat Ployaram. Emily Faye Pratt. Benjamin David Pertel. Jake Rayner. Caitlin Patricia Reicheld. Gabrielle Noel Reuter. Douglas Paul Rodier. Caitlin May Rooney. Gabriela Rueda Munoz. Mark E. Russell, Jr. Nicole Danielle Rose Saber. Natanan Sajabuntawi. Aiden Burke Schlotman. Brendan John Seifert. Naomi Lee Sierra. Ramatulai Sise. Nicholas Michael Stone. Kate Emma Surrett. Tatiana Thorndike Suriel. Jack Bonner Templeton. Ang Ti Hong Jang. Julian Harold Travis. Eric Dre Vieira. Alex Stephen Walter. Catherine Grayson Wildman. Asia Jerish Winslow. Wu Shin Hung. Wu Yu Xuan. Gabrielle Rishon Zahavi. Zhang Ju Chen. Congratulations to the class of 2016. We have a few closing pieces and a little bit of housekeeping to do here. Just as, again, a tradition of the school is for the seniors to form a line around the outside of the walk all the way around here, and then the faculty will process through that walk. And if folks could try to keep the way clear, I know it's tempting to get photographs and such, just to let the graduates through and let the faculty through, that would be wonderful. So we are going to sing the school song, 2 verses, Lawrence, Here's to Thee. It's in your program. Please stand. Congratulations to the class of 2016 graduates of Lawrence Academy.